Is President Trump's iron grip on the Republican Party slipping? In Indiana, Republicans in the state Senate crossed party lines to reject the redistricting effort the White House had been pushing so hard for. This is how the president reacted in defiance.
It's funny because I won Indiana all 3 times by a landslide, and I wasn't working on it very hard. Would have been nice. I think we would have picked up 2 seats if we did that. It's a great place. I love the people there. They love me. You know, we won in a landslide all 3 times.
Indiana Republicans are defying Donald Trump, and that may be one of the most important political signals heading into 2024. Tonight, we begin with a question that cuts to the core of Republican power politics. When members of Trump's own party publicly reject his redistricting push, what does that really mean for the future of the GOP and for the election ahead? For years, Donald Trump has reshaped the Republican Party in his image. Loyalty mattered. Public disagreement often came with consequences. And yet, in Indiana, Republican lawmakers did something almost unthinkable in the post-Trump era. They said no. No to pressure, no to political muscle, and no to a redistricting strategy that many believed was designed to benefit Trump-aligned candidates. This wasn't Democrats blocking Republicans. This was Republicans drawing a line against Trump himself. So why Indiana, and why now? Redistricting is one of the most powerful tools in American politics. Control the map, and you shape elections for a decade. It determines which voters matter, which districts are competitive, and which voices are effectively sidelined. That's why redistricting battles are rarely quiet and almost never defiant. But Indiana Republicans argued that changing maps under political pressure would damage credibility, create legal risks, and fracture voter trust. Some lawmakers warned that short-term gains could lead to long-term consequences, including court challenges and backlash from independent voters who are already skeptical of partisan manipulation. In other words, this wasn't just a policy disagreement, it was a test of independence. And that's what makes this moment so significant. For Trump, influence has often meant compliance. Endorsements carry weight. Criticism carries risk. Yet here, in a deeply Republican state, elected officials chose institutional stability over personal allegiance. That raises a critical question. Is Trump's grip on the Republican Party weakening, or is this simply an isolated rebellion? Supporters of Trump say this is overblown. They argue Indiana Republicans miscalculated and ignored grassroots voters who still strongly support Trump's agenda. They say defiance doesn't equal independence, it equals political cowardice ahead of a tough election year. But critics see something else happening. They see party leaders quietly recalibrating, testing distance, preparing for a future where Trump is influential but no longer unquestioned. And if that's true, Indiana may not be the exception, it may be the preview. Think about what this means heading into 2024. If Republican lawmakers feel empowered to push back, what happens during convention battles, during platform fights, during potential legal controversies surrounding the election itself? And what happens if Trump loses the nomination or wins it with a fractured party behind him? These are not abstract questions. They shape turnout, fundraising, messaging, and unity. History shows us that parties divided against themselves struggle to win national elections, but history also shows that blind loyalty can alienate moderates and independents, the very voters who decide close races. Indiana Republicans are betting on stability over spectacle, that governance still matters, that institutions should outlast personalities. But is that what Republican voters want? And more importantly, will voters reward independence or punish it? As we move deeper into this story, keep this in mind. Political power is not just about who shouts the loudest. It's about who controls the rules, the structures, and the future direction of a party. In the next part, we'll examine how this defiance could ripple beyond Indiana, reshaping Republican strategy, Trump's campaign calculus, and the entire 2024 electoral map. Before we continue, we want to hear from you. Do you see this as courage or betrayal? Should Republicans push back against Trump or stand firmly behind him? Share your thoughts in the comments and stay with us, because this story is far from over. Indiana's rebellion may look local, but its implications are national. Because once defiance becomes visible, it becomes possible elsewhere. And in politics, possibility is often more dangerous than opposition. Across the country, Republican leaders are watching closely, not just to see what Trump says next, but to see how voters respond. Will there be backlash? Will there be silence? Or will there be quiet approval from a party base that is more complex than headlines suggest? Behind closed doors, strategists are asking hard questions. Can the Republican Party win in 2024 by relying solely on Trump's base? Or does victory require expanding beyond it, especially in swing states where margins are razor thin? Indiana Republicans appear to believe that the answer lies in balance. Respect Trump's influence, but resist total dependence. That's a risky calculation. Trump has proven time and again that he remembers slights, he mobilizes supporters, he shapes narratives, and he frames defiance not as disagreement, but as disloyalty. If Trump targets Indiana lawmakers publicly, the real test will begin. Will other Republicans rush to defend them or distance themselves? And here's the deeper issue. Redistricting wasn't just about maps, it was about control, about whether one figure can still bend institutions to his will, or whether those institutions are starting to push back. That distinction matters immensely for 2024. If Trump regains full control of the party, his path becomes clearer. If resistance spreads, the race becomes more unpredictable and potentially more volatile. Voters are already exhausted by chaos. Polls show many Americans want stability, normalcy, and competence, regardless of party. But they also want representation, and they want to believe that elections reflect genuine competition, not engineered outcomes. Indiana Republicans are arguing that credibility is worth protecting, even at political cost. But credibility doesn't always win elections. So what happens next? Watch the endorsements, watch the funding, watch the rhetoric, and most importantly, watch how Republican voters respond in primaries and town halls, because that reaction will tell us whether Indiana was an outlier or the beginning of a shift. Ask yourself this: if more Republicans start saying no to Trump, does that strengthen the party or tear it apart? And if Trump responds by doubling down, does that energize voters or push moderates away? These are the questions that will define 2024. This election will not just be about Democrats versus Republicans. It will be about what kind of Republican Party emerges on the other side, one centered around a single figure, or one trying to redefine itself for a post-Trump era. Indiana has fired the first visible signal. Now the country is watching to see who follows and who falls in line. Tell us what you think. Is this a turning point for the GOP or just political noise? Comment below, stay engaged, and keep watching, because the consequences of this moment may not be fully visible until Election Day itself.